Hey guys, TRScientist here, and today I am back in r/NuclearRevenge for day number 29. Yes, I still got that joke running since like the second month that when I first made the mistake. So today I have 3 stories lined up, all of just randomness. I have a special finale for the last episode, considering like what the top of all time is going to be. Anyways, let's not get into that. I'm gonna start off with this story. Irritating vegan temp takes office pranks way too far, so I destroy her entire life paradigm. Just found this up and couldn't stop reading. Felt compelled to share one of my more epic revenge tales from about 8 years ago. TLDR at the bottom. At the time, I was a 27-year-old male, a 7-year veteran at large tech corporation, senior designer on the communications team by then. The senior copywriter went on mat leave, leaving a temp in her place. Although irritating in a nondescriptive way, she presented well and seemed competent enough. For later context, she was also an uber dog lover and a staunch and righteous vegan SJW. There were frequent, mutual, and innocent team pranks. Things like replacing a box of Diet cookies with a box of Krispy Kremes, or covering the laser on someone's mouse, like, "Oh, you dog, you got me," kind of things. Now let me fix that and let you get back to work. Despite being desperate for acceptance, the new temp started taking things a bit far, and seemed to focus pranks directly towards me. Even after a few subtle reprimands from our manager, she continued. And things slipping like inappropriate photos or comments on a PowerPoint presentation on the shared drive I was about to give, or fake crying during morning stand-up just to gauge reactions. Her novelty wore off fast. Fast forward to the morning after my birthday. She knew I was going to be hungover. I get to my desk, red-eyed and thirsty as hell. Grab my water bottle at my desk, which I always kept full, and started chugging like it was going to save my life. It was straight vodka. I had at least 2 full swallows before I realized. I go straight for the garbage bin to throw up. The slurry of alphabet soup, at least 6 cans of beer, and God knows what else she put in there, made damn sure I did hurl. I got most of the vodka out, but already being hungover, it made me instantly drunk again. Was not impressed. She came in laughing her brains out, taking full claim. I didn't knock on her, but the story made its rounds to HR, and she was given a stern warning. I would have accepted an apology, even remorse, but not a shred. In fact, she started calling me Pukey at McGee, to literally no one's fanfare. I let it pass for a few weeks, waiting for the attention to die down. Revenge Day finally arrived. She always left at 10 AM to get a Starbucks. I took this time to plaster the lost dog posters everywhere outside the office she might stumble by on her way back. She fell for the bait, asking around, but no one was the wiser. Once she was cozy at her desk, I went to her car to stage a hit-and-run massacre. With chunks of fatty steak, a liter of fake blood, an old leash and collar, and a bag of fake fur, I went to work. I shared the pic, but it's long gone, but it was very convincing. Looked like a leash was caught around her rear passenger axle, and the dog got clogged and shredded between the tire and wheel well. I left the collar dangling out the back with a particularly generous portion of gore and puddle of blood. It didn't take long before others noticed the lost dog posters or the gory car and put 2 and 2 together. Eventually, the owner of a white so-and-so with license plate such and such, "Please come to reception," went over the intercom. It's on. It was delicious. She was out in the lot, sobbing so hard she was coughing, carefully placing chunks of bloody furry gore into a box. It took her an hour to gather every precious bit, crying the entire time. My theory was that she wanted to return the dog to its owner as best she could before calling the number on the poster. It was a shame there was no owner or dog, but she was too distraught to realize it was fake. I thought for sure the lack of bones or guts, and obviously fake sticky stage blood, would be a near instant giveaway, but to my utter shock, it wasn't. A scenario that I wasn't expecting, but welcome just the same. It was just assumed the dog owner had printed the wrong number on the poster because the remains were never returned. She had the collar and leash cleaned and posted pictures of her own in hopes of finding the owner. What? Given her reputation, there wasn't much sympathy offered. The righteous vegan dog lover was now a dog killer, and I took every chance I could to remind her of that. She took down all her gaudy dog lover crap off her desk and kept very much to herself for the remainder of her term. Bonus that she even left early, but not sure if I can take credit for that for certain. TLDR, office temp replaced my water with straight vodka when I was hungover, so I convinced her and the entire office that she killed a dog. Disclaimer, for those that will likely claim she just liked me and wanted my attention, I assure you that was not the case. There's way more background than just this story. Even if it were, this was in adulthood, not grade school. Before I should clear a few things up in the comments as well. OP is not a vegan, however, is a huge animal lover, owns several dogs, cats, and has rescued many animals, wild and domestic. OP had nothing against figures, just ones that preach it. Relevant distinction for her personality and subsequent reaction for not the reason for revenge. Steak bits was an easier way of describing a bag of butcher scraps at the time. To make it clear to the ones that thought this was petty revenge for minor inconveniences, here is a list of some of the more inconvenient pranks. Replacing water with vodka was just the last straw and is tantamount to poisoning, illegal, and potentially fatal. Medication alone could seal that deal quite quickly. Hiding car keys and leaving wasted hours of people's lives, but was welcome news to cab companies. Pulling fuses from cars is dangerous. Again, could be fatal. Brake lights, headlights, airbags, all very important, you should think, right? Releasing tire pressure. Does your office have an air compressor on hand? Lacing others' presentations with profanity and photos that could be career ending. Not inconvenient to have to check every file before sending and presenting. In hindsight, I do not regret coming clean. The believability was not expected and I froze. But the pranks most definitely stopped. When bullies don't get the point from a passive and apathetic authority, the only route is to pop them straight in the nose, good and hard. Again, to those thinking this was too nuclear, why on the sub anyways? There's fight subs. I'm sure need your wisdom about non-violence. After this blew up, I reached out to a mutual friend that also worked there. He said she most definitely did catch on, for which I'm actually glad. See number 5. The cleaned up collar poster was her return survey and to garner sympathy. As mentioned, no bones, no guts, and the fabric backing with printed barcodes on the fake fur should have been a giveaway to even marginal intelligence. And she wasn't intellectually stupid by any means. Impressive work on faking a dead dog. we're gonna just move on to the next one. Uncle made fun of me for not graduating high school and called my mum a horse. So I took away his business, marriage, kids, and freedom. So this story happened a few years ago, back in 2016, when I was in my senior year of high school. Excuse my spelling mistakes, English is not my first language. By the way, this is a repost. This post was up yesterday, but I had to delete it to make it more easy to read and fix grammar mistakes that I have missed. You might need to take it down again. P.S. Thank you for everyone who already read the story and pointed my wall of text mistake. It's really my first Reddit post, and I'll be doing better next time. Hope this time this will be more enjoyable to read and tickle your revenge needs for the day. I'll start with some info about the victim of this story, or in better terms, the a-hole that got what he deserved in the end. My dad has 3 siblings, all older than him, and all equally shorty human beings. They bullied my dad for years and made his childhood hell after their parents divorced due to him being slightly darker in skin tone than them. Grandma is white, grandpa is brown skinned. They were abusive, racist forks, and the worst of them was my older uncle, which he was a bully and a snob that saw himself better than anyone else. All the bullying and the bad treatment forked up my dad mentally so much that he became a raging alcoholic, which made my life a living hell as a result, until I moved out 2 years ago and caused me many traumas that I am still dealing with till this day. Anyways, in my country, the most important year in your life is your last high school year. It ends with a nationwide exam that determines if you can go to university or not, and the success rate in this exam is fairly low. Basically, if you fail, it's either you drop out and move to low-paying jobs that will never amount to anything due to our country's bad and declining economic state, or you just keep repeating until you can get your degree and go to a university that you don't even want to be in, but at least it's a safety net that you can get out of the country, that can get you out of the country, hopefully one day. Oh my god. That is very political right there. Okay. Things did not go well for me due to family issues and me having been diagnosed with ADHD at the time that was causing me a lot of academic problems at the time without me knowing the cause, which in turn gave me some sort of depression. Goes without saying that year ended up in me failing, and due to the importance of that exam, people saw it as a shame and kind of a big letdown, especially that they looked down on us due to my father being an alcoholic and us being dirt poor, which made them think less of us. Bear in mind, they stole all what my dad inherited from his father, including a house and a piece of land that could have lifted us at least to a mid-class level. Lo and behold, my big uncle that I saw him when I was 7 came to visit us 3 days after the failing of my diploma. I already did not like the guy after all the stories I heard about him, and his visit felt weird, like he had no business being around us at all, and somehow he came uninvited. My mum sat him down and started making the usual small talk, and then she called me saying that he wanted to say hi. I went, and the conversation went as follows. Uncle, oh, look how much you've grown up. It's been a while since I've seen you. You look just like your dad. The apple does not fall far from the tree. After all, even in terms of being a successful person, you're following his footsteps, letting after that the most loud and sarcastic evil laugh ever. Oh my god, this is hard to read. What do you mean by this? Well, I heard you failed your high school. Guess this branch of the family is bound to be the loser side. I guess you better shut your mouth and fork off. No one wants you here anyways. Guess your horse mum did not raise you well. What did I expect from hood rats like you? After that, things devolved into a shouting match and he left. After what happened, I was mad for a while. I couldn't forget the humiliation, and I decided that one day I'll exact some revenge, and I started plotting. I did some digging until I discovered that all his business and assets are in his wife's name. And he basically owns nothing due to him committing tax fraud and ripping off his former business associate out of a lot of money before declaring bankruptcy and transferring the money and everything he owns to his wife to evade taxes. I came to contact with former employees that agreed to testify if this short ever came to court due to him being a shorty human, being overall and treating them like absolute trash while they worked for him. Move forward a few months, and trust me, Reddit, I made this account just to tell the story because what happened later was basically a gift from the gods that helped this story go from pro-revenge to nuclear real quick. I couldn't even hope for a better outcome than this. He came to our house again to speak to my dad because he wanted to make a golden custom ring for his daughter in her 10th birthday. My dad is a jeweler. While he is in our house, he called out for me, asking for a phone charger because his phone is dying. And at that moment, I almost jumped from glee. It's my chance to get his phone and dig around. Maybe I can find any documents or emails that can be used later in the police case I was assembling against him. I told him I don't have a brick, but I can charge his phone with a cable from my laptop. Him not knowing any better, like the boomer he is, he gave me the phone without batting an eye. His phone had a passcode, and asking for it was too suspicious. So my plan to check his email went down the drain. But I still removed his SD card and put it in my laptop and copied all his files, charged his phone, and gave it back. He eventually left and boom, locked my room and started to check all the files. I found nothing at all, but as soon as I was giving up, I found a well-hidden file with a few videos on it, and then I struck gold. A full-blown text tape of him with another woman, with his face fully available and clear as daylight, and I was literally singing to myself from excitement. The revenge. For a few weeks, I made a Facebook account, made it look like it's his mistress's account, made a bunch of other accounts that looked like friends and family commenting and interacting with her. After that, I added his wife and texted her saying I am her husband's mistress. She did not believe me at first until I gave her too much personal info that I knew about him for her to keep not believing me. I told her that he lied and said they were divorced and promised me marriage. She requested to talk to me on the phone. Made a female friend help out by lending me her voice. She was destroyed, and I sent her the text tape the text tape as proof. After that, she filed for divorce immediately and sued him for infidelity, which lost him custody and visitation rights for his girls. She took everything from him, even the house and all his money and assets that were in her name. Overnight, he became homeless with 0 pennies to his name, but that was not enough for me. I met up with his former business partner through a former employee who especially hated my uncle's guts, and told him everything, and the employees are willing to testify against him in court, and he agreed to filing a lawsuit. The cherry on the top came when his ex-wife testified that he threatened her safety and her kids' safety if she did not let him put the assets on her name by force, and she literally pulled out phone recordings that she had of him being abusive, and him saying that he will kill them all if she did not let him basically used her as a tax evasion tool, and that she was scared to use these due to her fear for her children's safety. Due to their previous divorce, the divorce case, the judge needed to hear no more. That man got hit by 15 years in jail so fast that he couldn't even comprehend what happened before he was on his way to the slammer. He will never see his family again. He will never have his fortune back. Just to rub some more insult to injury, I visited him a year ago and I just said one sentence. This would have never happened if you did not call me a loser. And left. The look on his face while he pieced everything together almost cured my depression. I never told my involvement in this story to a soul except my little sister, my female friend that helped me, and now you read it. But I had to make him know just to be able to finally sleep at night. TLDR, Uncle made fun of me for not graduating high school, so I cost him his family, his fortune, and his freedom. That was a hard one to read, but that's like it was satisfying, but it's not the best nuclear revenge story that I've read so far. Like I know not every single one's going to be like the number one hit, but you find some gold when you do this. I'm doing this for fun and I'm finding gold. Last story. I didn't go nuclear, I went supernova. This is my first post on here, so please bear with me. Just a little background to start off. I was an exterminator for better than a decade. It was only a few credits shy of a degree in entomology. Needless to say, I know my stuff when it comes to anything one might consider creepy and or cruelly. With all this being said, I was a specialist for the absolute worst kinds of infestations. I treated for bed bugs, small cousins, ticks that only drink human blood. I bet you think you know where this is going, and just to cut you off, no, I never intentionally infested someone. In fact, the revenge in this story isn't even for me. It was for what turned out to be one of the sweetest women I have ever met. For the purpose of the story, we are going to call her Mary. She was a nurse in World War II. I was called out to Mary's home by the management of the subsidized apartments. She had complained about a small bug issue. What I found when I got there was not a small bug issue, and still haunts me a little to this day. When Mary answered the door, she was covered in bed bugs. Her hair, her clothes, even crawling on her hands. Without going into too much grisly detail about insect biology, this isn't normal. Bedbugs don't like touching human skin. They don't hunt when people are up and moving. That is why the bed is the most prevalent place to find them, and thus the name. I immediately called an ambulance, waited on them to arrive, and warned them about the very real possibility that anywhere they took her would be in severe danger of being infested. If they didn't do something to decontaminate her. The poor woman was suffering from anemia, and it was the luck of biology that she hadn't gone into toxic shock from the number of bites she had received. When she was rushed off, after having to be hosed off, literally sprayed with a hose, and having her clothes taken from her in semi-private, revenge mode started. Bed bug treatments are expensive, very expensive, and I had made a lot of contacts with local Department of Social Services and the Adult Protective Services because of the amount of charity of work I had done. Every single one of them got a phone call. Subsidized apartments have rules, including that they have to make routine checks. For an infestation to get to that level, it had gone unchecked for years. She had been being eaten alive for years. I called the local news, warned every neighbor, and collected statements about exactly how often the maintenance staff and management have entered the apartments. Once DSS and APS was done, I urged every single person who was put in jeopardy of infestation to file civil suits, and recommended a lawyer I had done work for in the past. He was more than happy to take the cases as a class action suit. By the end, I had the manager of the apartments arrested for elderly abuse and neglect, and the entire staff from the top down fired. They had been falsifying paperwork saying they had been inside the apartments, performing routine maintenance, and generally scamming the government for services that they didn't actually provide. I visited Mary for a while after that, checking in since it didn't seem anyone else had in a long time. She was a wonderful person, and she never deserved to have to live like that. Her health recovered for a while, but time eventually came for her. I'll never forget her, or forgive the people that allowed it to happen in the first place. Yeah, yes, I now know there's a subcategory for Supernova Revenge. Thanks for letting me know. Well, I feel like your one feels like it fits right in on nuclear, not supernova. Like, how does a company, how does this management let this apartment get to the point of her literally standing there covered in bed bugs? Like, that is not an apartment, that's a roach motel. And with that, I'm going to end this episode here. Links will be in the description to my main channel and also the second channel, along with links to the playlist and the last episode on the screen. Go check them out. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when the next video comes out. A ding, ding. Mad Scientist out.